Welcome back to Intricacies of Michelle. I am so glad you're here to listen again. Today, I'm going to talk about tales from the dating crypt. I have a lot of those. I was actually going to get my friends involved, but my friends are a little bit hard to nail down because, we're all adults. I'm going to share a few stories. One that has been on my mind lately. A friend of mine was going on a date with a guy, and he said he had a friend, and I could go on the date with the friend. So I was sitting on a picnic table near the cars. I thought it was going well, he pretty much, but he was a little shy. That's what I thought. And we were sitting there, and I don't remember. I assume I leaned in for a kiss or something. And he said, "Oh no." He said, "I am not ever going to kiss you." And I was like, "What? Why? Why?" He goes, "You obviously don't know who I am." And I was like, "Okay." Well, apparently, I was really mean to him in middle school, and he was very disappointed that he had to hang out with me that night. I felt so bad because, I'm kind of big on growth, and I was less big on growth back then, but I guess I had a mean girl moment in middle school. We all went our separate ways at the end of that date, and I don't remember his name, and I really hope he doesn't remember my name. Let's see, what else? There was a guy I worked with, and we all went to see a show one night, and he wanted me to come and hang out with him and his roommate, and I said no. And then he went back to work and started a rumor about me and got everybody all wound up. So I guess that one didn't go very well. You do notice I'm not naming names, and I'm trying to give as few details about these stories as possible because I don't want anybody to come for me. Let's see what else. Who else? Actually, there was a guy I had a massive crush on when I was in middle school. I would say that's probably the my very first big crush, and I was like very attached, and I very much needed reassurance that he thought I was cool. And I called their house phone so many times. Uh, and it was before you could block the number. So his poor mom, I bet she is probably still like, don't ever bring someone like her home. But I don't do that anymore. That was back then. Oh, yeah, there was a huge crush on um, Vanilla Ice. Yeah, I liked him a lot. And he showed up. He was friends with somebody I worked with at one of my jobs, and he showed up there, and he wasn't quite as cool as I expected him to be. And I kind of popped off and walked away from him. I was much cuter back then though. Oh, I was engaged 3 times before I got married. So that is definitely a tale from the dating slash engagement crypt. The first one, I broke it off for a really silly reason, and I'm okay with that. I mean, things that are supposed to be will be, and things that are not supposed to be will not be. So I guess it worked out the best way. Um, the second guy, I moved out of state. The second fiance, I broke that off and moved out of state, and the rest is history on that. I got to my next state to live in within a couple of weeks, the guy that I ended up marrying, and that was really quick. And I know I've talked about that already on the podcast with my mom, but we dated for like 2 weeks and then we were together. And then, like 8 weeks after that, we got engaged. And 9 months after that, we got married. And if I had that to do again, I would have, if I had advice to give myself, my younger self, I would say, girls, slow down. It's not that serious. And if it's meant to be, it will be. That's my theme. But yeah, it moved really quick. And as you know from listening to the previous podcast, it ended in divorce. But we were together a long time. I kind of think that quickness might be a theme. Maybe I should consider slowing down across the board. I've dated so many weird, unusual, unique people, musicians, IT guys. I'm trying to think. After I got divorced, I signed up for 2 or 3 dating apps because, I never had to do that before. I didn't know about them. I don't know if they existed actually before I got married, but I went on a lot of dates and some of those were very memorable. One of the men I went on a date with, there were multiple restaurants by the same name, and I went to the one I was thinking, and he went to the address that I gave him. I went to the one he was at because it was my mistake. And I showed up and he was already a little bit irritated about the whole thing, which is understandable. Then he asked me about my divorce and my ex-husband, and it hadn't been very long since our divorce was finalized. So I gave him the full scoop. He finished his drink and he left, and he was basically furious that I had so much to say. But I was like, you asked the question. I guess I could have kept the story a little shorter, but he did ask the question. Oh, there was one guy, this was a long, long time ago when I was in college. This guy had the coolest car. He had like an old, I don't know, car from maybe the 50s or something. And he had painted flames on it. And I thought it was so cool. And I kept seeing it in the parking lot after one of my classes. And so one day I wrote him a note. I was like, look, I just think your car is totally cool. And I would love to meet the person who goes with this car. I was surprised that he called me, but he called me and he was really cool. And he planned out a fantastic date night. Friends of his managed or owned an Italian restaurant, and he took me there. And then after our meal, he had a horse-drawn carriage pull up and take us on a horse-drawn carriage ride. And then we went home. And then I don't, I think I maybe talked to him one more time, and he didn't like me in person that much. He thought I was too blunt, which really annoyed him. I'm guessing he was a Virgo. But yeah, so yeah, there was that. Trying to think. I don't know. If you talk to anybody who knows me, they're like, oh my gosh, you've dated so many people. And I really have, but not all of them were serious. And so I guess they've just kind of faded, some of them. And some of them I just won't talk about on general principle. There was one guy I was talking to, and he said he didn't like to do phone calls. And I was like, okay. I decided to test him because I wanted to know exactly what his reaction would be. if it was going to be really angry and furious, I knew I didn't really want that type of person in my life because who needs extra stress? So we were texting and I decided to call him. And he talked to me for a moment. He basically was like, "Why'd you call me?" And I was like, "I wanted to talk." And then I was in the middle of a sentence and he said, "I've got to go." And he hung up. And I was like, "Okay." So we didn't go further than that. That was I was like, "No, why does anybody need that?" There've been a couple of different men who were too far away or they chose distance over dating. I don't know if that's entirely accurate. I need somebody who's going to show up. And again, as I've said before, I'm not down for people who are never going to be able to see me or, and in turn, it's like those people are probably not going to be the ones who ever want to put a label on things. It's going to be like, yeah, we're friends 5 years from now. Yeah, we've been dating, but we're friends. And I'm just not down for that at this point. Slow and steady is fine. Show up, but don't just go silent. I'm too old for ghosting. Oh yeah, another one of those things. I used to be the girl who's like, "Oh, I like him so much. I'm gonna keep him. I bet he's the one." And let me just assure everyone, I am not that girl anymore. And I'm much quicker to say, "This isn't working for me," and just letting it go. It's not worth it. It's not worth my struggle and my time and my stress if it's not mutual, and it's not going to be mutual. We're adults. It won't hurt my feelings. Just say, "No, it's not working for me." I don't know. I've heard a lot of things like, "You're too much." I've heard that one a lot. I'm definitely unique, and a lot of people that bothers them. So I think those guys kind of shy away, the ones who are not willing to let someone be themselves. I don't fit into boxes, and I don't deal well with people expecting me to be in a box and fit some sort of mold or idea of who they think I should be. I'm very individual. I'm creative. I'd love to paint. I'd love to write. I'd love to podcast. I don't know. I have a childlike mindset, not childish. Don't confuse it. I've decided to be kind to people. And so I'm not throwing people under the bus. And I think it's making it really hard to tell funny stories and stories that aren't going to completely upset people, which I don't always mind, but I'm not here to hurt people's feelings. Oh, there was one guy, I just remembered. He drove like a maniac and smoked like a chimney. He had a chip on his shoulder. And we went out a couple times, and that's all I have to say about that. Never mind. I think this is going to be a really short episode, and I might have to come back to it at a different time. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you. Please DM me at Intricacies of Michelle on Instagram, and keep listening. I have stories to tell.
I will search for you through 1,000 worlds and 10,000 lifetimes until I find you.